Hi, hello. So today we are moving on to the next session. We are exploring the shell, environmental variables, facts, and aliases. So far on this journey, this is the story so far. A senior engineer pulls you aside before stand-up. If you haven't watched the previous session, kindly go to the YouTube playlist and start from the start, from the first session, so that you can follow. So the engineer is talking to you. Remember, you are the new hire at VOH Enterprise. So he says or she says, I noticed you're typing full path every time you run a command. Let me show you how the shell actually works. Once you understand the environment variables and the path, you will stop doing that. You also set up aliases so your most common command take half a key. This is how we all work here. So this is a feedback from a senior engineer at the company where you have just been hired. This your first week. So this session, what you'll be learning is listed out there, and we have a brief. I put in a brief definition for some of these the things we'll be learning, like the shell, environmental variables, what they are. The shell is what you call bash. It actually default on Ubuntu and most Linux servers, right? While it's a program, it takes your command, passes it on to the operating system that executes that command. And then the path. So as you know, this session is purely practical belief. So let's get into the CLI and get going. So for the first step, let's get into our folder, the VOH folder, which is where we've been working from session one. So to do that, we all know the command cd into VOH. I'm already here. So let me do pwd, print working directory, and it shows me where I am. So I'm at home. So I just need to cd into this location because depending on where you are, folder. So it will be good if you always go back to where this particular folder that we've been running this program with, where the location is, so that you can easily see the into it or navigate from there. So just going to do cd, so I use the tab key to complete. So tab complete. We already talked about it in previous sessions. Tab complete to complete that folder name, and we are in. So we are going to be testing out all of this, exploring the shell environment. So let's print the name of our current shell. So there are different types of shell. We have the bash, we have the BSH, things is listed somewhere here. We have the BSH, we have the fish, we have the SH. So let's find out the one that we're using. So we type echo and then shell. You can see we're using the bash bin bash. Right? So now we can print all our variables that's currently set. So with env, prints out all our environmental variables. Okay? So you can scroll through it to see familiar ones. So let's print out specific variables. So do echo a $, capital letter home. So yes. So my home, this is my home directory. So it can save that a variable. And we could also test out user equal that is me here. Okay. You can echo all these other specific variables. Now we're going to be setting our own variables. But the question you might be asking is how come these variables are already set? So some of these variables come with your Linux machine, right? It comes by default. Linux sets them for you. Okay, so that's why as you type them, they show what has been saved under that variable name. So let's do set one ourselves. That will make more sense as we go. So we are going to be setting this variable VOH underscore EMG equals to develop, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Export for now if we do echo, so if we now do echo VOH EMG, we have to put it on. Very good. So we set this variable. This is the value we give to it. So anytime you do this, you echo this. Echo, remember, means like show us, like echo whatever is within this variable. So give it back to me. Whatever you have saved inside the variable. So that's what we did, and it gave us development, which was what we saved in this previous command. Okay, so let's also go ahead. So this variable is only in your current terminal. So let's say we open another terminal here and try to do this. So let me go ahead and do that. You'll see that. Let me see terminal. Here's terminal. Then equal you see, it didn't give us anything. Why? Because we brought up a new terminal, right? We brought up, let's open another terminal. So because if this variable, this variable that we see, this environmental variable, only existed in that initial terminal we had, right? So if your system was to time out, or you had to put your system, or you had to just open a new terminal like you just did earlier, you will see that this variable didn't save. It didn't save. So we have to go back again and go all over again. So this time I'm just going to copy and paste. So now if I run that same command, the command shows up here. Okay? So that's what this line is saying. The variable is only in your current terminal section. If you open a new terminal, it will be gone. Okay, so this helps you, like when you spin up an EC2 and you want to save the instance ID, instance public ID of the instance, where if you save it on the terminal, it's easy to call it up when you want to SSH. You don't need to start going into the console to find what is the IP, public IP address, or running the ifconfig .NET file to or call command to pull the public IP address. If you just save it as a variable, you can call it up when you need to call up the particular IP address or any other command or any other information that you know you use often on that terminal. You could also save it as a variable. So let's set a few more variables. So let's set VOH project, and for that we are setting VOH project. We are giving it the value VOH infra underscore project. You see, it's showing us the value that we saved inside the variable. So if we were to go over to a new terminal over here and do the same, let's get into VOH folder, and we do echo the $, VOH underscore project. So it gives us nothing because we're in a different time now. So this is a temporary measure that just saves here in the shell terminal where you're currently working. Okay, so let's do ls. This particular variable here. So this boundaries. Okay. So you see, it listed out the folders, the files and folders within this location. So this is the same thing you would have gotten if you had run this command ls home VOH project VOH infra. So you are getting the same result. Why? Because you saved this value within this variable. So anytime you echo this variable for ls, this variable is going to give you children. It's going to give you this what ls means list. So you're just going to list what is within this folder. That's what we do here. Okay. So we notice that the ls command, the shell expanded the variable before running the command. So we expanded it, meaning it found the thing that was within this folder because ls command says list. Okay, so let's move on to part 3. Understanding which command, understand which command run. When you type a command with which, it's to see exactly which file the shell is running from. So when we type which bash, it tells us the file where this command bash is running from. So it says it's telling us is within the USR user bin bash file. That's where the command bash comes from. It should do which nano, member nano, our editor. What we use an editing file. The command we use an editor is a nano. So if we do that, you find that it is also within this file space. So which vim, remember vim as well. This is also another command used for editing files. It's also within this same space. Okay, so you go ahead and run the rest. Then you can use type to find out more details about the command. Type cd. It tells us cd is a shell built-in. So it's built-in change directory. Remember, change directory is cd. It's a built-in, it's built into the shell. It's a shell built-in. We do type echo. It's also a shell built-in. Okay, so I also explained it here. Notice that they are shell built-in. So they are built into bash itself. They are not separate programs on this. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create aliases. An alias is a shortcut, a short name that expands to a longer command. So if we run, like I think I already said LL as an alias in this system, LL, so you see that. Meanwhile, LL means LS list, long form, all files, and human readable format. So that is what I have chosen to just become ls. If not, we are going to type ls dash LEH, right? You see, it's also giving you the same exact content. So if this long command that I use an alias is shortened into LL. So once I run LL, it still gives me the same thing. So let's go ahead and set other aliases. So we can set VOH and the alias is going to be cd, going to be this command. So anytime you come into the command line and run VOH, it's going to cd into this folder. The same thing, we're going to do this as well, and that means cd into this folder. So let's just go ahead and do that. Already, this command will already do a folder. So let's run this one. Okay. So now, if we try it out, let's run. Let's run. Let's, so we are assigning this whole value to VOH, to this name. We're also assigning this whole value to just config. You know, just the same way someone will say, my name is Ukiruka alias Wiki, right? My name is Michael alias Mike. So that's just a short form. So let's now talk. So if we are to see the instance, let's go into another location so that we don't run it from VOH. We go into another location, CV temp. Now we're in temp folder, right? So now let's run VOH and see VOH. See where we are. When we run this command, it says cd into this folder, but that's what we have tried and the alias to do, right? The same way if we are to run configs, the very first one we did, see where we are. It navigated us into this particular folder. So let's go back to VOH, because that's actually where we're working from. And we're back here. So that's the power of the alias command. So let's run the alias. For you, it might not be the same thing. Mine is different, but I already aliased a lot of things before now. So these are some of the aliases that I have. Okay. Then if you wanted to remove an alias, you will just simply run on alias dot. Right? On alias dot. I don't think we ran the dot. Let's just run it so that we can easily test it out. Now if you run docs, see where it brought us into the docs folder. So now let's practice how to remove the alias that were attached to docs. So we simply go on alias and we do docs. Right? So now if we were to run docs again, let's go back to let's do this. So if we were to do docs now, you see, it's working. The docs command docs not found. It means this telling us this command doesn't exist because we have removed the alias. Okay, so let's move on to part 5. Let me clear my screen. So now remember how we did those things over here, but if we should open a new terminal, we're not going to find them. But there's an option that makes it permanent. So to make it permanent, we add it to the bashrc file. So this is a file, hidden file in the home directory that reads every time your shell comes up. So to open the bashrc, we use nano, and then we're going to paste all of this stuff. We're going to export set environmental variable because the one we did is just temporary. Then we're also going to set some aliases here, and then and here as well. So these are commands, cp command, copy command, interactive. So the I is saying ask me before you do, ask before overwriting. So you don't go and copy or move and remove configuration files without getting that ask prompt that asks me should I go ahead, type yes or no. Yeah. So this are other shortcuts you can also put here. So H means history. Instead of typing out history, you can just use H. So we're just going to please type this out, even though I'm going to copy and paste it. But typing helps, build your muscle memory. So let's go ahead and nano into this file. before then copy this. Let's do that. Okay, so we are content within this file. So all you need to do is scroll all the way down. Yours might not be the same as mine because I will also have something we inputted in this file. Yeah, for my key, I'll be deleting that. That's the still key anyway. So we're just going to paste our content here and then we do Control O. Remember we've done this before and Control X. Okay. So we save that inside the bashrc file. Okay, so now to load it to take immediate effect, we need to run this command source. So source is telling me to load because remember we edited the file, so we need to reload it to take effect. So now to test out what we inputted into that file, we run ml. You see, it saves. Let's run VOH, or preferably, you know what? They see now it's working on this side. Before now, it wasn't working. So let's just run this particular one that didn't work before. Run that. Oh, I don't think this is part of all two. So let's number one so or zero is let's see. Let's get the card or something. Okay. So view it here. Okay, no, we need to do the source. So the NL will work because this has already been saved before now. So I need to run source. Let's see. There you go. So I can open like multiple terminals. Let me open another one. And once I open the terminal, all I need to do is to run the source dash rc. Once I run that and I type in whatever variable I have saved in that file, is going to pop up here. See that? So if we run project, now so now let's move on to part 6, the command history. So the shell keeps history of all the commands that we've run on it. And to view history, you just type history, but I'm not going to be typing history because it will show up a whole lot of commands. So I'm just going to do history 20. History 20. So this is going to show me the 20 commands that I've run since this shell has been opened. The last 20, right? So let's say search history for a specific command. You could also do that. If had it been I didn't put 20, it's going to pull up a whole bunch of commands. So if we can also search history using the break command. So I think we already talked about the break command. So if you looking for the pattern, make directory, mkdir. That's what they are telling you to search inside all the history command, inside the history. Search all the history means like all the commands you've run. Grep, bring out the commands that have mkdir. If you do that, you see I have quite a few of them here that I use to set up before now. Okay. So another way to run history is to use the exclamation mark. So let's say you know the replace 42 with the actual number from your history. So if we want to run, let's say we want to run this particular command again. We wouldn't want to run a mid there because we don't want to put the folder. So let's do this one. I can always delete it afterwards. So you do the exclamation mark and then you get this number, right? Which is 1562, 1562, and then you run it, right? You see that it's gone ahead and created the directory for us right here, right? Instead of typing this full command, you just feed the exclamation mark and the number that is assigned to that previous command, and they brought it out. And they ran it. Once you click enter, they ran that command for us and created this folder. Let's go ahead and print that out. So rm arrow beans ls from at 7. So now let's check our shell session. You see how long our shell has been running and what processes are active on it. We use the ps command, process command. So if you look at this, even though our bash has looked, it hasn't really been doing CPU related work. Okay, it hasn't really been doing much on the CPU. So it's showing time value. Well, let's run this script. So this is going to make the CPU run a lot of yeses on bash, and that will cause when we run PS, we are going to see there's a process that we're going to see something that will show here. We can see this time show that something is happening on our CPU. So let's run PS again, and then let's run this command. Now, if we run the PS command, you see the showing time. So something is actually happening. If we run it again, you see that it increases, right? We run it again, it keeps increasing 10 to 19 to 24. So let's show the process because if you leave it, you will keep running on Android. Now CPU. So we show the process now. If we do PS, it's terminated, right? Okay. So to here, you can also use this to see all running processes. And we are going to put head. Head means don't need the first 20 running processes on my system. So it's showing us the things that are running on my system. Yours will definitely be different. Okay. So that is that. Finally, for checkpoint before moving on, confirm you can do all of this without looking at the command, without copying and pasting. Remember, we're building muscle memory, remember knowing how the commands to run, when to run it. So yeah, so go ahead, try this out on your own. You can also check out the free resources. And up next will be us having putting everything that we learned so far together, because as a new intern or a new engineer on the system, you need to show that all the stuff we've done so far from the first session to this session, we're going to summarize it in the next upcoming session. Thank you so much for watching and stay loving. Bye bye.